Today I want to present you how the self-oscillating Class-D amplifier is working. But at first let's have a look what I have presented already to you. So in my previous videos I showed you already how you can implement a fixed frequency Class-D PWM amplifier. One time an analog controlled one, this was basically video number 2, and then the practical implementation in video number 12, and then one time also the practical implementation of a full digital controlled PWM Class-D amplifier with an FPGA and some noise shapers. But this time I want to show you how you can build up yourself a self-oscillating Class-D amplifier and basically what the difference to the PWM based one is. But now let's do a refresh once again how the PWM based Class-D amplifier is working. Here we are having once again our overall structure. Here's the error amplifier, here's the comparator, here's the power stage, and here at the end we are having our LC filter and the speaker. And the main point basically here at the PWM based one is that the output of the error amplifier is basically modulated into a linear PWM signal with a comparator while it is checking the error, a signal from the error amplifier against a sawtooth waveform. And also the frequency is always fixed and based on the frequency of the sawtooth signal. But before we are now going to have a deeper look into how a self-oscillating Class-D amplifier is working, we have to do refresh on sigma delta converters. This slide I have already presented to you while I was presenting you my FPGA Class-D amplifier project, but let's check it once again. So here we are having the overview of the sigma delta converter. Here's our input, here we are having an integrator. This is our comparator, or maybe also called a 1-bit quantizer. Here a flip-flop, and this is our modulator output. And the overall thing is working that our input signal is being fed into an integrator together with the feedback signal here at the output. And the integrator signal is just compared against reference voltage in here. And here at the output we are just getting a bit stream which is basically only 1 or 0. So it is basically quantized in only 2 states. And the whole structure tries to regulate the point at the output in a way that this modulator output signal is basically the same as the input signal but only represented as ones and zeros. And the thing is, the more you're oversampling, the better is the quality at the output in comparison with the input signal. But here you can see we have an external clock signal and a flip-flop. So this means this sigma delta converter is actually based on external clock. And now let's have a look how the self-oscillating Class-D amplifier is working. You can see that the structure is basically quite similar to our sigma delta converter. Here we are having our integrator circuitry. You can also see that this is a second order integrator with the 2 capacitors and the resistor in here. And then we are having here our comparator, which is basically our 1-bit quantizer. And then you can see here already the big difference to the PWM based amplifier, because we are not feeding in here any sawtooth waveform. It is really just comparing against the reference voltage. And this signal is directly being fed into our power stage here at the end. So, but now let's discuss once again about the frequency and the PWM. So most people thinking that a self-oscillating Class-D amplifier is basically also a PWM based amplifier. But this is basically totally wrong, because we don't have any real PWM in the sense that we are having any fixed frequency and we are modulating the duty cycle of the PWM. So the output we are getting is basically a PDM stream, which is totally amplified by a big power stage. So we can also say that it is more or less a high power sigma delta converter if you want to have it like this. And also the biggest difference is, if you have checked once again here our sigma delta converter, we are having here flip-flop and external clock, and this is not present here in our case. So this means basically that the timing resolution the modulator can represent in our self-oscillating Class-D amplifier is not limited to any clock cycle time or something like this. And therefore we can say that we have basically some kind of virtually unlimited endless oversampling. And therefore the oversampling ratio must not be so high, and also the integrator order not too high, because we are having virtually a relatively high oversampling ratio. And yeah, once again, how you can determine the frequency of the self-resonant or self-oscillating Class-D amplifier. Well, the thing is, you cannot really determine a specific frequency because the frequency is mainly dependent on the power supply voltage, on the regulation behavior of our integrator, and also of the propagation delays of the comparator and the power stage. But practically, you can also adjust more or less in something called like an idle frequency. And this typically done by adjusting here the resistor value of the integrator stage. Yeah, and typical values for this integrator is something between 1 nanofarad to 10 nanofarads for those capacitors, and for the resistor value 15 ohms to 300 ohms or something like this. And it's very common during the R&D phase that here the resistor is basically replaced by a potentiometer or something like this that you can adjust and find out the correct idle switching frequency value. And one further thing about the oscillation frequency is that if you have here look on the diagram, we are having the highest frequency at the idle point. So this means when no modulation at all is applied or if we don't have any signal present at all. But the higher the modulation is, the more the frequency will basically drop. So basically in my simulation now, my design target was that we are having 500 kilohertz idle frequency, but you will see in simulation, the higher the modulation is or the signal which is coming into our amplifier, the more the frequency will basically drop. But this doesn't care so much basically because our sigma delta regulator will regulate the output anyway in a manner that the output signal will be the same as the input signal. Independent of the switching frequency, but this is the natural behavior basically of the whole thing. But now let's have a look to our simulation. So just to get a rough overview what you're having now here. So this is our 24 volt power input supply. So this means also this one will be a single supply amplifier as already my last two amplifiers as I have presented to you already. Then we are having here an audio input source with a 10 kilohertz signal and a 300 millivolts peak amplitude. And we are having here some, let's say, helper supplies. So the 12 volts is basically the helper supply for our gate driver circuitry for the power output stage. Then we are having here a 5 volt supply for all our analog stuff like the op amps, the integrator and the comparator, and we are having here a 2.5 volts reference voltage, which is basically exactly the half of the 5 volts. And then you can see already, this is our main regulation loop in here. So basically we are having our amplifier twice because one time the amplifier is working in positive phase and this other amplifier is working in negative phase. And our speaker is basically connected at the midpoint of both amplifiers. And yeah, you can see already, this is our integrator circuitry here, which I have presented already to you in my PowerPoint slides. This is our comparator, here's our power stage with two NMOS power MOSFETs, and here our feedback. Now you might wonder, what is this feedback circuitry exactly? So the thing is, the integrator will regulate in a way that this point here will be exactly the same as this point. So basically we're having here 2.5 volts and this will be also 2.5 volts. But as this is a bridged amplifier, we want to have here at the output exactly the half of the supply voltage, which is basically 24 volts. So somehow we have to set our DC point in a manner that we will have here regulated 12 volt supply when this point is basically 2.5 volts. So therefore we can set our DC offset by setting here the feedback resistor in comparison with the R14 here in a way that the 12 volts divide will give us a 2.5 volt point in here. But this is really only for the DC working operation point. But for the AC behavior, and this is our signal, we can set our gain if we are adjusting here the R16 in comparison here to the R15. And if you have a look now, we have 100K for the feedback resistor in comparison with 3.3K here for the signal input resistor. And this gives us basically an AC voltage gain of 30 in this case. Yeah, and basically here once again is our output LC filter. This is basically exactly the same as in my last video. And here is once again a circuitry which will invert our signal to negative signal input, and the negative signal input will be amplified by this power stage. But now let's have a look how the signals are looking like. So at first, this here is our signal input. And we are having here a 10 kilohertz signal with 600 millivolts peak voltage. And yeah, basically this is already our Class D amplifier in here, where the signal is coming here to this point. And the most interesting thing is basically what is coming here out of the comparator. And if I get it back to here, so because our 10 kilohertz signal is starting here at the point of 200 microseconds. And you can see here already that our amplifier is in idle operation mode and they are having a more or less perfect 50% duty cycle output signal. And yeah, this is basically our idle operation, and I said my design goal was to have like 500 kilohertz, and you can see already here that we are at 516 kilohertz idle operation. But the interesting thing is, as soon as the signal starts modulating, you can also see that our PDM output stream is basically modulating in here. But now the interesting thing, the higher the modulation, the more the frequency will drop, I have told you already. And if you're checking this frequency at this point, you can see that we are having only 210 kilohertz. So the frequency is really not fixed at all. And here we can see once again here at the output, at the difference voltage point. And yeah, this is basically our amplified signal, which is here now 30 volts peak, and this is basically exactly the gain of 30 we have adjusted. Yeah, and I would propose you that you can just download this LTSpice simulation file once again and just try it out yourself and have fun with it.